you mentioned that growing up, you were somewhat familiar with Michael Myers. So by the time Halloween '07 comes along, um, how familiar were you at that point? Had you seen the original film or any of the other films? I mean, were you at all familiar with the franchise or John Carpenter's original?
So I had seen the movie, like my mom had shown me the movie when I was like in
Hmm.
my teens, like early
Hmm.
teens, because she'd show me The Exorcist, she'd show me like Texas Chainsaw Massacres, all these movies,
Yeah.
but it wasn't something that I like remembered. Um,
Hmm.
and I didn't really realize, I mean, I was 17 years old when I was auditioning for all these movies, and it was the Untitled Rob Zombie project. And I kind of learned very fast how massive the horror genre family fan base was.
Hmm.
I didn't realize how massive that was a thing. Because I was just making movies. I don't know why I never thought of the fandom, like the fan base around it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when I discovered that, when that love for this genre, and especially for the Halloween franchise, the Michael Myers franchise, was when people started comparing me to Jamie Lee Curtis when I booked it. And that it was a bunch of mixed feelings. And one thing I did was, after the process, after I realized what the fuck it was,
Yeah.
when I booked it, I started freaking out. Everyone was like, Jamie Lee Curtis, this girl's gonna suck. She's gonna tank. Like it just like all these cruel things at
Yeah.
17. And I remember I popped in the movie like almost one of the days before one of the days before filming. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to be like this woman. Like I'm going to let all these people down. And I remember I walked on set, and, Rob had read everything that was going on, and he kind of pulled me aside, and he was like, I cast you for a reason. I didn't cast Jamie Lee Curtis. I cast you. Like, this is your Jamie,
Right.
you're Laurie. So I was like, okay, all right, well, I've got to like let that nervousness go away, a
Yeah.
bit. But I kind of got a fast knowledge of the franchise and the fan base before the first day of filming. So I was kind of prepped and ready, and just like, just worked my hardest just to kind of, let that all go, and just, play Laurie how I saw her and how I felt. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely is a great performance. And can you talk to us a little bit about that, getting the role, like the auditioning process? Like, what was that like? Because again, like you said at the beginning, it was the Untitled Rob Zombie project. I imagine at the early stages, you didn't even realize it was the Halloween remake at that point. You just knew it was
Yeah.
Rob Zombie's next film.
Yeah. So Rob doesn't like to meet actors in person. He likes to watch self tapes. So that's initially what it was a self tape.
Okay.
And the self tape went in, and I didn't hear anything for like a month. And then finally I heard that, they wanted to have me do a chemistry read. So I was like, whoa, that just like sped up. So I went and did a chemistry read. And I remember I went to this office in LA, and I was sitting on the couch, and I just look up, and there's just this huge wall of just photos of everybody that's been cast in the movie. Everyone's been cast in the movie except for Laurie Strode. So, and then I see my photo just right in the middle. And it was the most surreal thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I had not, I didn't really know Rob Zombie. I knew that prior I had watched Devil's Rejects on a set, and I remember saying out loud, I'm going to work with that director one day. That was like the only thing I knew. I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. And all I see is like these I'm like looking down because I'm like super nervous, and I'm just like looking at my lines and hoping that I don't fuck this up. And I just, all of a sudden I just see these massive boots, and I'm just like, it's like a movie. I just like look up, and there's like 70s like jeans and like punk shirt and then beard and hair. And I'm just like, who the fuck is this guy? I was like, this guy's so cool. And he's like, hey, I'm Ron. You want to come on in? And so we did this read with the, you know, the cinematographer, like filming, and I'm just like on the ground, like acting with like an assistant. And then all of a sudden Danielle Harris comes in and I'm like, hey, how are you? I don't know who you are, but what's up? And, you know, and then I like instantly realized who she was. I remembered her from the Halloween movies and Wish Upon a Star. So I was just like, what the fuck is happening? And so, and then I read with her and then I left, and it was the craziest feeling. And you know, I left like, you know, every day I was like, did we hear anything? Did we hear anything? And then nothing happened for a bit. And then finally, after a few weeks, I got another call for another chemistry read. And I was like, okay. So I go in. Well, this time they're prepping, like they're getting all the looks together for everybody. So everybody's in there. And I remember I took a van with Dee Wallace, and she was like, they really fucking like you, don't they? And I was like, yeah, I hope so. You know, she's like, yeah, they really fucking like you. That was like the only thing she ever said to me. And, you know, they dropped her off to do screen testing. And then I met up with Christina Klebe and Danielle Harris. And this is my hair is red, like I have extensions in. And they're like, let's just walk and talk and do another screen test. And so we did that. And then I went home. And then I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, I found out that I got the part, changed my hair, it was crazy. It was insane. But I did find out from Rob that I was the first self-tape that Rob saw.
Okay.
And the only one that he wanted.
Wow.
Which is super special. Like, honestly, I mean, he's just, I admire him so much. And I think everything that he does is just such a cool, unique experience. So it was definitely unique getting it, and the experience itself was rad. Honestly, like, the whole experience just changed my life.